Imagine a computer running a background process that consumes all its resources, eventually causing the entire system to lock up. For many people, the human mind operates like this, a system that feels programmed to fail. Take Sarah. From a distance, she represents a picture of stability. She is sharp, articulate, and handles a high-pressure career with what looks like effortless grace. But the image is deceptive. Behind her steady exterior, Sarah's mind is in a state of perpetual, frantic motion, processing data at a speed offering her no rest. The noise peaks at night. Without the distractions of work or conversation, her thoughts amplify. In the silence of her bedroom, the internal volume becomes deafening. She spends hours replaying past friction, drafting scripts for imagined disasters, and solving entirely invented problems. Sarah assumes her only path to relief is finding a way to stop these thoughts entirely, to reach a state of total mental silence. But treating the mind as a machine that must be switched off only increases the friction. The struggle to silence the thoughts actually feeds the anxiety, locking her deeper inside the cycle. Seeking a different path, Sarah began working with a mentor. He didn't claim to be immune to stress, but he possessed a visible composure even when things went wrong, a result of years spent practicing a specific type of mental discipline. During a particularly difficult week, Sarah asked the question she'd been carrying for years: how do I finally stop overthinking? The mentor's answer was a complete pivot from her current strategy. You don't stop the thoughts, you stop believing them. This is the core of cognitive diffusion. It's a skill that requires learning to step back and look at your thoughts, rather than looking from them. This diagram illustrates the two distinct pathways our brains can take. The reactor path shows what happens when a thought hits a belief note. It creates an immediate, heavy emotional spiral. The observer path, however, introduces a deliberate gap. When the thought is observed rather than adopted, the signal loses its energy and reaches a dead end. We suffer because we treat every mental impulse as a verified truth. In reality, a thought is just a neurological event. It only gains power when we grant it our belief. That evening, the familiar nighttime pressure returned. As Sarah lay in bed, the internal engine attempted to spin up its usual cycle of worry. A specific, sharp thought surfaced. What if you fail? Instead of her usual reaction, which would be to argue with the thought or try to suppress it, Sarah simply paused. She watched the thought as if it were a headline on a screen. She applied the mentor's interrogation technique, asking herself, is this a fact or is this just fear? Categorizing the thought as fear stripped it of its authority. The loop was interrupted, and for the first time in months, the emotional weight of the worry began to lift. Sarah realized that control doesn't come from a quiet mind. It comes from the ability to objectively interrogate the noise. This transition took time. Sarah had to practice this interrogation hundreds of times, across weeks of mundane stress, before the new mental reflex began to feel natural. The thoughts haven't disappeared. Sarah's brain still generates worries and doubts, but those thoughts no longer dictate her emotional state or her decisions. This chart clarifies the real relationship between our thoughts and our stress. Notice that a high volume of thoughts on the x-axis doesn't automatically lead to high anxiety on the y-axis. The spikes only occur when introducing the third variable, the level of belief. We don't struggle because we think too much. We struggle because we accept too many thoughts as reality. Blindly trusting the mind means living in a reality dictated by unverified data. The mind functions as a storytelling engine, and like any engine, it produces a high volume of exhaust. Most of the scenarios it creates are pure fiction. When you next find yourself in a spiral, resist the urge to force your mind to be quiet. Simply look at the thought and ask, is this true? That single question is the mechanism that